So sometimes we have an issue around growth, our own personal growth, our own advancement. Be that in your career, be that in your spirituality, be that in your social relationships, whatever it is. But there can be conflict sometimes within these areas. And today I want to look at just one source of that conflict, which is the people that you have around you. Now, these can be friends, these can be siblings, parents, they can be your own children, they can be your colleagues. At one time or another, we're all going to face a situation where people are very much against an idea that you feel very good about because it makes them uncomfortable or afraid. Now, in my book, I talk a lot about fear, anxiety, and worry, and what exactly it means to people. And the basic conclusion that I've come to is that fear is rooted in the unknown. It's what we don't know about a situation, followed by an exaggeration of the mind of the consequences that may or may not occur. And it's this ignorance, almost, this not knowing, that the people in your life will be tuned into, and they will then try to impose this upon you. Now, if you're very adamant about an idea, not to say that the people around you are always going to steer you the wrong way, but if you know what it is that you want to do, and if you're passionate about it, and if you are completely aligned with it, then that's the time you need to just take one step forward and be the leader in that field. Lead yourself first. Take the first step. As long as you're one step ahead of everybody in that particular endeavor, you can consider yourself the leader. And some people would be very, very reluctant to even call themselves leaders. But that's the truth. If you're one step ahead, if you're doing something different, whether you see it or not, whether you're leading others or whether you're just leading yourself, you are a leader in that field. And that takes courage and character and a real set of values that you've been cultivating probably over the course of several years, a lifetime, whatever it may have been. But it's all very, very vital in achieving the goals that you set for yourself. Now, again, I'm going to go back to the issue of alignment. Now, you have to try to keep the type of company that will encourage you, that will really bring out the best in you. Perhaps there are already people who've taken the route, or at least part of the route that you want to go down. And when you hang around with these people, you will benefit from their experience. You will benefit from the body of knowledge that they have, or whether it's just the character traits that they've displayed, that they exhibit, which you want to adopt yourself. By observing these people, by hanging around with them, by aligning your own values, your own habits, your own practices, your mannerisms, your ways of thinking, your ways of doing, acting, behaving, you will be taking on their traits as well. So be careful of the company you choose and make sure that whatever it is that you want to do, you're hanging around with the right people to help get you there. And if you're not, then you really need to think about the people that you're spending your time around. Are they helping you to achieve what it is that you want to do in life, or are they holding you back? They could be lovely people. They could be the kind of people that you can spend a lot of time around, or they could be the type of people that you'd be wasting a lot of time around. But it depends on what your priorities are right now. So prioritize what it is that you want to achieve and align yourself, align your social activities or whatever downtime you have around people who think similarly. And hopefully you'll be able to latch onto some of that momentum, which we already talked about. And using that momentum, you can ride that to further advance whatever that particular endeavor is for you. So the company that you keep is vitally important in that respect. I had a situation once where I was fresh out of university, and I'd been involved in a lot of property already for a number of years, and I had a good sum of money at this stage to work with. It was close to £1 million, which was a lot of money back then. It still is today. And with this money, I thought to myself, what is it that I really want to do? And there was only one lesson really that I'd picked up from university, and that was go to wherever the growth is. I studied business, and that was the one lesson that stood out for me. So I knew property, and I knew that there was growth happening out in the Middle East at the time. Had never been there myself, but I went to an exhibition on property, and I thought to myself, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. My father had actually encouraged me to go a little further afield than he had. He was based around East London most of his life, and he kind of implied to me that don't hang around East London, son. Expand your horizons a little, and kind of pointed towards more sort of central London into town, and said, go work in town and do a little more there on a larger scale. But I guess I kind of took his lesson one step further and thought to myself, well, okay, Dad, I'm off to Dubai. So that's what I did in the end, and I faced a lot of opposition from my family, from a lot of my friends, and all of them tried to, in their own way, sit me down, talk to me, and say, Mobeen, you don't know the Middle East. You've never been there. Yes, you've done some good work in property before, but are you sure that this is the right action for you? And I'd made my mind up. I'd studied the local markets and understood them quite well, so it wasn't a difficult decision for me. But I was surprised at the number of people that had come up to me and said, be careful, take a step back, think this through again. There were a lot of people who were almost trying to cast doubt in my mind, but I was quite headstrong, I was quite young, and I went anyway. It turns out it was a great success, so I was happy, did very, very well. And I came back, I think it was just about a year later after I'd been trading a lot of properties. And I think I'd made the right decision at that time. This was back in 2005, 2006. The whole market had basically exploded, or imploded on itself rather, in 2008. And having lived there for a year and traded property quite extensively, I was able to see this firsthand. A lot of buildings coming up, completed, no lights on. For me, that was a real warning signal. So I sold up everything that I had invested out there and came back to London, which happily was the right move to make at the time. But the point I'm trying to make is that you need to very well understand what it is that you want to achieve, because you're going to face opposition, especially if you're doing something very different. So make sure that whatever it is that you're doing, you are very comfortable with, that you are very aligned with, that you know it inside out, and that your very core of your being is telling you that this is where you need to be and this is what you need to be doing. Because if you're not, you're going to be shaken very, very easily. And that fear, that not knowing, the unknown, has taken apart many a good plan. So know what it is that you want to achieve, stick with it, align yourself with your truth, with the truth of the situation, and you shouldn't miss your mark by too much. That's enough for this video.